That's
okay, babe. You gotta tell me. We got stuff to do, babe. We got stuff to do.
All right, I want to do something a little different first.
We're gonna switch things up a little bit.
A little bit. I want
Play some music.
I want you to pick what has been your soundtrack for 2021. Your favorite song from 2021. I want you to find it and play it here.
My favorite song?
Mm-hmm. Like the soundtrack for your life for 2021.
Well, my most played song for 2021 is that Crown song.
Hey, don't tell us what it is. Just play it because they'll be able to hear it.
It's a little hype, though. I don't know if we're trying to go for hype or if we're trying to go for background elevator music.
No, babe. I just need you to listen to the question. The question is, what has been your soundtrack for 2021?
Babe, you know I just don't want to fail. I just don't want to be wrong.
I know. There's no wrong answer to this. There's none of that. Let me actually move this here. There's no wrong answer to this at all. Wait.
Can they hear it?
Cold hand, sharp pencil. I scribble the stanza as my hands are
trembling. You know the words?
Grade 7 made heaven out of words. I began to build the
Go ahead, rap it for us. I don't know the song.
You know it
Go
just
ahead.
as well as I do.
2, 3. That's
okay,
the best
babe.
Part. That's
you
the
gotta
best
tell
part.
me. We got stuff to do, babe. We got stuff to do.
Or just look it up.
You listened to like 10 seconds of my song. You played a full minute.
I told you I wanted to get to the chorus, and then we got to the chorus, and you turned it down, babe. What's with that?
Oh, wow. I didn't hear that part. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
My microphone must not.
It's okay. It's all right.
My headphone must not be working right.
Well, I wanted to play like our favorite soundtrack for the year. One, it's literally New Year's Eve 2021.
That we're shooting this,
and I think it tells you something about the person when they have a song that they feel like has been their soundtrack for the year.
So?
Yeah.
What does that song say about you then?
I just like that one because it talks about you got that glow, you got that ish, you got that something about you can't really make sense of it.
Oh, wow.
Glow. And I feel like that's what I wanted to carry in myself for this past year is, I got that glow, that I do have purpose and value in my life. And whether I got married or not, I still had the glow. You know what I mean? Whether the job worked out or not, I still got the glow.
Come on now.
Whether life works out the way I wanted to or not, I still got the glow. So that's kind of
your little preachers and pastors call.
Listen, I can hoop and holler. But yeah, that's what that song, I think, one of the songs that I really like. I also just really liked Insecure.
I was going to say,
I discovered that show this year. I heard about it, but I feel like because of some of the sexuality that's in it, I think you just have the sex scenes and things like that. It's kind of like you got to be okay with yourself to get to that point to watch it. It's not for everybody. And at the time, I don't think it was for me, but having now been like married and experiencing sexuality in a different light, the show Insecure, I don't know if that was TMI or not, but the show Insecure is like a really beautiful, it's like a really beautiful picture of Black love in a way that I've never seen. Like Black people being in love and Black people winning and Black people winning in relationship, winning in career. But it's also the messy part of it because not everything works out the way you want it to. And so I just really like that show. But what I love about the show is that they have all these unique soundtracks. Like she uses all original music from up and coming artists in LA. And it's kind of like when you watch it, it's like you're discovering the new of LA as you watch it. And I really like that experience in that show. Anyways, the glow comes from one of the episodes in, I think, season 5 or season 4.
Oh, wow.
So
you know the specific season?
Yeah, it's in one of the later seasons. Yeah, so it's kind of cool.
It's pretty big because you don't get into that many shows like this. So for you to get into that show, watch the documentary.
It came at a really unique time in my life. Like season 4 is all about Molly and Issa kind of breaking out and their friendship falling apart, and I kind of had one of those friendships fall apart in my life too. So it was like, man, that's what I've been experiencing, but I didn't have language or a picture of it. And then at the end of the season, spoiler alert, they do wind up recovering that friendship, and that's also happening with me and one of my friendships. So that show means a lot to me in a lot of different ways. So anyways, on
do a review of that show sometime.
Yeah, moving right along.
Moving along to what we plan.
Yeah. I mean, tell us a little bit about
giving the supporters an update.
One, where are you at financial support? Like, tell them about your goal and where you landed, and then what's been happening in the last couple months. It's been a couple months since we've done one of these for our supporters, so bring us up to speed, my brother.
Yeah, so my overall goal that I started the beginning of this year, it's so crazy.
Oh, you're looking there?
This year is so long.
Yeah, perfect.
I got a baby.
Sorry, go ahead.
Wow.
Yep.
Act like I'm my first time. My first rodeo. But, the goal that started off this year was to support, raise, and reach $4,000 a month, which would be about like $48,000 a year. That would cover for my salary, cover for the benefits and all that stuff you get when you're hired on somewhere. To be using that money to also do the different things with the youth and taking them out, taking people out to dinner, buying different things for the facilities that we have. And so I've been support raising for that. And really February was really when I kind of hit the ground on that and paid a lot of attention to just doing that before I came on staff fully in March of this year. And so when I did that, all of the stuff went better than expected, above and beyond kind of expectations that I had. And in raising, I even talked with kind of a friend, an older friend who's just been in the game, fundraising, supporting way longer than I have. And he owns a nonprofit in town, and he was telling me that, like, man, that's not common. What you're doing is not a usual fundraising thing to do, to try to support, raise all that stuff in that month of February. Yeah. And then to start in March. And so it was wild to see, like, all the funds and people that came in and supported. We did that huge kind of
how much did you wind up raising?
That live stream that we did was when we kind of got most the individual supporters and people that came together. And so I'd raised a total of this year, and we kind of together, talking to my supporters too, and all the people giving to me, raised a total of about $47K. About $47K this year, so it's about $1,000 off of what
I think
the
one
goal
of these
was.
is a hand clap.
Oop, that one was it.
Yep.
There you go. There's some love. Look at that love. Yeah, so it's about $1,000 or so off, but still was like better than, it's like, whoa, to see people support, to see God make different connections in my life and see God come through was just like increased my faith in him, just increased my mindset too, of operating from kind of like an abundance mindset instead of like, man, I'll never have enough, I'll never get to this, never get that, instead of thinking like, you know what, this can happen, and kind of having that abundance type mindset. Yeah. Kind of really helped me during that time and during that season. And so
that's cool.
I was able to do a lot of awesome work. I think the last time that I talked to the people giving and talked to you guys was before we had this big event called Day of Remembrance, where we sat and honored the people who have passed before us, all the people who have passed in 2020 and this year, and even people who have passed in our lives from way before, whether it be grandparents or family members, where we sat and honored them along with the students at Neighborhood Ministries, all the youth there. And it was a beautiful time to be grateful, to reflect on the different stories we have with people who have died and gone before us, and their in their life and what it means to us. And so had that time to be grateful, and then time to be hopeful too that we're going to be with them one day. And so we kind of had a whole practice we did where we lighted candles together. We did different silent practices and prayers together, and it was a really impactful time. And so we did that right before we left to CCDA, which you guys can hear the recap about that in other videos we have. And so we did the CCDA conference right after the Day of Remembrance. And then when we came back, it was kind of like holiday season and gearing up for all of that. And so we did a little Advent thing with the youth, and kind of a lot of them don't really have a great understanding of Advent. And so Erin actually had taught, I think, our first Advent message to the youth and talking about hope, and showed a little bit of her story with them, which was really cool.
Ashley, which was kind of cool. Yeah, a lot of them kind of perked up when I was like, I just found out my grandmother used to be in a gang.
Yeah. Anything that could be an attention grabber or they pay attention to.
Hey, that was all my years in marketing.
Yeah.
Taught me that.
Yeah. And so, and then we had the Christmas fiesta that we do every year at Neighborhood Ministries, where all the different programs, again, there's like 18 different programs at Neighborhood Ministries, and we all kind of come together and help put on this huge Christmas fiesta. We kind of turn Neighborhood Ministries into like a winter wonderland for a day, and have all these different activities and food for them, and families come out. And so we had that, and it was an awesome time. And then we had a whole bunch of Christmas parties for the volunteers, for the students, and then staff too. We had a Christmas party, and so kind of ended this year out on a festival, going out on a bang. It was a good year of celebrating. It was cool. One of the Christmas parties, the one for the youth specifically, we have this student who she had put together a slideshow, and it was she did a really good job, and it was super intentional. It was better put together than what I thought, honestly. But when she had like put the presentation together and presented it to everybody, all the other youth, it was kind of this like reflection throughout the year, starting from August to the beginning of our Wednesday night gathering semester, where she kind of had all these photos that she had taken and was kind of talking about all these different moments, and she highlighted all the volunteers, and she put up a picture of Erin and I getting married on the presentation too, and kind of just talking about it. And it was really kind of a beautiful moment. It was cool to see like the youths kind of grasp our heartbeat and the culture that we want to build of contemplation, of reflecting, of slowing down, remembering things together. And that student had really kind of caught that heart and vision and kind of put that in this presentation, which was not anything I told her to do, and it wasn't like something I expected, but I was like, man, that's a new tradition that we'll have to do with the youth, is like kind of reflect every end of the year on these different moments and look at these photos, kind of like you do with a family member, right? You know, with family, you look at photo albums and you talk about different pictures and stuff and kind of reflect. That's what it felt like we were doing, and it felt very family-ish. That's what a family does together. Yeah. And so I was like, kudos to that student to putting that together. And it's kind of cool to empower her and her friend to put that together, and they did a good job. Aw. So that's really cool, babe. Yeah, it was kind of a great end of the year and celebration. Yeah. Excited to see what next year brings. Yeah. So I'm planning all the things for next year, next semester. January till May is our Wednesday nights that I'll and be maybe leading. We can get into what's coming up in just a little bit, but I wanted to go for it, babe. I wanted to say after I really enjoyed going to the Neighborhood Ministries Christmas party. It's just kind of cool to see all the different staff members that are part of Neighborhood. Neighborhood is so big, but yet so small, because they touch so many different people in the neighborhood at Neighborhood Ministries, which is the point of why they exist. But that was a lot of fun. Also, my dad and brothers had blessed us with tickets to the Suns game after that, and that was our first time going, because they have season tickets to the Suns, and they sit like 3 rows off of the floor. And so it was so cool. Close. I've never sat that close at a basketball game before. Awesome. That was such a cool experience. Oh my gosh. I was like, no wonder they come to just about every game, because it's so much better than watching it on TV, because you can see the players' faces and all that. So it was kind of cool to
go to that Christmas party and then have that experience. That was also my first time riding the light rail in downtown Phoenix. I've been living here since April, but I've never needed to ride the light rail before. And it's a lot. I was expecting it to be like Chicago Metro train station type experience.
It's low key.
Or New York train station.
It's not that crazy. It's
a lot cleaner and a lot simpler, which I was not expecting, but it makes sense because the light rail is just a different type of build. It's not as loud. It's not as many people ride it, but a lot of people still do ride it. But anyways, that was just kind of fun and a unique, different type of experience. But I was going to talk a little bit too about just recapping what I've been up to with Kaleo in the last few months.
Go for it.
So, and if I forget something, just remind me. So I know last time we talked, I was talking about Chase transitioning, and he is officially gone. Like as of tomorrow, I believe he is in Texas with his family. They found a house. Their baby was just born a couple of weeks ago. And really excited for them. I think it was disheartening because I'm a truth teller, so I'm gonna tell the truth. It's disheartening because I had hoped that his transition would have been a lot smoother, but it was a little bit more rocky. And I think it was because he just had a hard time. Like even when we got a chance to talk with him, he had a hard time letting go, and I think kind of dealing with the disappointment in himself that Kaleo, with his time at Kaleo, didn't turn out to be what he had hoped. And I think his vision for a church plant was a lot different than what Kaleo is becoming and what it became and what it is becoming. And I get that, and I think it takes time for someone to realize, for anyone to realize within themselves, like, what do I want to do with my life, and what am I doing, and does that line up with what I desire, and I think through a series of he did some counseling, he did some inner reflecting and all of those things. He realized that Kaleo wasn't a fit for him, and I think that we had hoped that we would have been able to send him off really well. But because he kind of isolated himself and began to just separate himself, it was difficult because you can only extend an arm and an open invitation for someone to be sent off for so long before, if they don't want that, you can't force them to have that, And so I think that I was bummed about that because I've had pretty terrible church transitions before in my church career. And so I think I was really excited about being able to do for Chase what I had wished someone had done for me. Because a lot of times people just like, well, forget you. If you're not for me, you're against me. And that tends to be the attitude with narcissistic church leaders, And so I verbalized this to both Chase and Chris. It's like, man, I really hope to just support you and send you off really well. And there were some things that happened like after our reception and different things, some relationships that he had that he kind of rubbed him the wrong way, and so it led him to feel like Kendall and I weren't supportive of him and all those things. Long story short, we wound up sitting down with him before he left. Met up with him, had coffee with him, and just did our best to make amends and just say, hey, like, we never intended to hurt you or anything like that. We've always only supported you, always only been for you. But I was disappointed that conversation only happened because I came to him and that there wasn't like a desire in him to have a conversation, but more make up narratives in his head, and I think that I've done that too. So I'm not like,
I think
we've all been guilty of making up a narrative in our head and running with that versus actually having a conversation with someone that we feel like hurt us or whatever. Anyways, it wound up being okay, you know what I mean? And but it didn't end the way that I had hoped that it would end. But it also gave me, one, it was emotionally draining. And so that was difficult too, coming out of our reception and just the season of being married and all of that, like in a time where I felt like I should have been so high off celebration, which we were. I was also plummeting in this like, oh my gosh, this isn't what I had hoped. So it was like emotionally over October into November specifically, it was like this for me, and just like almost felt like I could emotionally throw up because it was so tug of war, push and pull, highs and lows all in one day type thing. I was also having a issue with one of my best friends, that's a whole other story, another podcast for another day. But that wound up working out really well too. But I thought maybe I was going to lose that friendship. So it was just a lot going on at one time.
And it was right before going up to CCDA.
Yeah,
it was when we came back. Yeah, it was when it was Chase's like last Sunday.
Yeah, it was his last Sunday coming back from CCDA. Which, if you didn't see the recaps from that conference, we'll put the link links in the description so you can watch that, because that conference like gave me so much vision,
so much life,
in a time where I felt depleted as to like my purpose being at Kaleo. Not that I don't have a vision or purpose or feel like me and Chris can't do a great job together, because I do believe that. But in a time where you just kind of lose heart a little bit that things didn't work out the way that you had hoped, CCDA conference really just instilled like life, like breathed new life into my lungs. It was so inspiring and gave me a lot of vision of how I want to be a pastor at Kaleo for the rest of my days, or however long, the season of Kaleo is for me. And so that was just, that was a lot, kind of like taking a deep breath there. And I would say coming out of CCDA, coming back from that. You preached
more when you came back from CCDA, because that's Chase left.
I know, like that's the other thing. It's like when there is 3 people and you're kind of on rotation, and then one of them leaves, you're kind of just alternating with the other person. So it's just me and Chris kind of alternating. And so I am speaking more. And as soon as I got back from CCDA, the next time I spoke, everything that was happening with Julius Jones was going on. So it was like, oh my gosh. And Chris was out of town that week, that Sunday. So it was just, Kendall was guiding, which is, if you're familiar with, like, kind of like the host of the service, we call it a guide. So Kendall was guiding that day at Kaleo, and I was speaking. And that was heavy. That was a lot, because I was trying to talk about Julius Jones. I was trying to talk about truth-giving or Thanksgiving and the truth of Native people.
That week.
I was trying to talk about the ASU
injustice and the multicultural center.
Yeah, it was a lot. And I was trying to say everything and also talk about the parable of the persistent widow, or the unjust judge in Luke 18, and to bring all of these things together. And I feel like that was for sure a monumental sermon for me. That's probably, I feel, one of my best work that I've ever done. And I really enjoyed it, 1, because I was talking about a lot of controversial things. 2, I was able to bring the focus back to Jesus, which I wish some of my previous church experiences more pastors did more of, but I didn't really see that, and I didn't get to like experience that a lot. So I was just like, again, coming out of CCDA, trying to like give myself tangible vision of this is how I want to pastor. And I did everything I set out to do in that one sermon of Julius Jones. But I was also nervous because just to be honest, like as a Black female, like people think I'm bold in the things that I say, which sure, it sounds bold, it is bold, but I'm still scared. I'm still scared that some white person that's just had enough of me is just going to show up one day and shoot me when I'm preaching. Like that's still something that like that's a kind of
goes to the worst case scenarios.
And that's not highly unprobable to like if we're real about the times that we're living in, and white supremacy that's been at work, and the racial reckoning that's happened, and how many different types of people feel some type of way about truth telling. Like that's not unlikely. So yeah, it was kind of a lot, but that set me on a path where I was like, oh, I found more resources that I was like, these are the types of things that I want to use to disciple people and like connect it with different Black women and in the nation that are doing this type of work. And it became more like, oh my gosh, I can do this. And I can do it with these other people that we're connected to. And this is doable. And so I'm ready to do it, let's go, so that was a big deal for me. And I think coming towards the end of 2021, both Chris and I have been in therapy pretty consistently. And I think it's made us healthier. It's made us more aware of our emotional well-being. And it's also made us healthier so that we can deal with toxic things that have happened to us and aren't then perpetuating that or projecting that onto people we're supposed to be discipling. And so I'm really thankful for that a lot, because then I can go into therapy and talk about the Chase stuff and talk about his transition and talk about my struggles in my friendship and talk about me using my voice to tell the truth, but then feeling afraid at times, of dying or somebody being really upset with me or whatever. And process all of that there, and then come back into the world as a healthier person and not projectile and project these other issues internally that I'm having. So I'm super grateful for that. And also, I think we both, Chris and I, value just overall holistic health, like mind, soul, body, spirit, emotion, all of that. And so whatever it takes to be fully healthy, to show up in spaces as the healthiest version of ourselves.
How do we get there?
That, you know, that's how we want to love people. That's how we want to love ourselves, how we want to love people really well. And then I think that even benefits our different marriages, like mine with you, his with Kate, and how we relate to each other, how we relate to the congregants, how we relate to friends and family and people, how we communicate ourselves and portray ourselves online or whatever we're doing. So I'm really, really excited about that. And there's a lot of really cool things coming in 2022 for Kaleo.
Even the video that you guys recorded for this New Year's service.
Which comes out the day after tomorrow. Yeah, that's going to be really cool. That's the first of its kind. It's kind of cool to partner with Donald and Bridge Worship Collective, which is a really cool urban collective group of the best worship leaders in the Valley coming together, head up by Donald, who worship leads at Kaleo a lot. And a couple of those members have been showing up at Kaleo and making home at Kaleo. And others are just people that I've known and worked with over the years, which is kind of cool, that just relationally we're connected with them, but it's like I want us to champion Donald to do his own thing, and not be like we own you or like you owe us or anything, because I've done that too. And then it's like, as a creator in a church space, a lot of times the church tends to think that they can own what you create in their house or whatever language they want to use for it. So what can I do to be a healthier leader and empower him to use the gifts? Like, bro, if this blows up and you do amazing things and you did it on the back of Kaleo workspace or on the back of Kaleo equipment, that's what we're supposed to do. You know, like we should be like fanning the flame, especially to other Black creators. We should be fanning the flame to make him believe in himself and like, bro, do the thing. Like whatever we have that can be of service to you, let's do that. Right. Because people expect a lot out of Black creators all the time and expect us to do it for free. So what I'm not going to do is do that. You know what I mean? And it's just really, really fun and cool. So, we'll put a link to that service, the January 2nd service. We're calling it Something New. That's our first collaboration with, man. And it's cool because we got new podcast mics and all this other studio equipment. And that was our first time using it for music. And then Chris and I also used it to guide people in our service. So it's like a 25-minute piece called Something New that's coming out. And I spent a lot of time editing that myself. So that's a little long stint of mine, but that's kind of what's coming up for Kaleo. How about you, babe? What's coming up for you at New Neighborhood?
Well, what I was gonna say.
Yeah, sorry.
Before you interrupted me. See, you should just let me talk neighborhood stuff, and then you talk Kaleo things, because there's always so much good stuff that's going on in both worlds. Like, man, let's allow the viewers just listen to all neighborhood and listen to all Kaleo. You know?
I apologize. One, I apologize for interrupting. Two, in my head, I was originally thinking, let's both talk about what has been happening and then both talk about what is happening. And I automatically went into what is, and I stole that from you, so I apologize. Go for it, babe.
No, you're good, babe. So just planning things for this next kind of semester of Wednesday nights. Again, it's our heart and goal to have different programs and services for the youth every single day of the week at Neighborhood. And so Wednesday nights, what I lead is just kind of one of many different things we kind of want to provide for the youth. Myself, Alfonso, who's the social justice coordinator there, and Tanya, the youth director. And so I was kind of planning on teaching some martial arts maybe one of the other nights there every other Friday, getting back into kind of my martial arts roots.
I thought it was on Wednesdays, no?
Possibly. Wednesday nights will be the spiritual nights still. We'll be pastoring there Wednesday nights. And then every other Friday night when we have robotics, I'll go in every Friday night. So often I'll do martial arts while I'm there too and be teaching. And so I'm excited about that. Put that curriculum together. That's what I've done for a lot of my life, is teaching that. And so I get to look back on my old kind of books and things and get to teach it again. So I'm excited about that. And then Wednesday nights, we got a lot of fun stuff. We gather the youth around at the end of kind of every semester to ask them, like, what's your guys' vision? What's your hopes and dreams? What's the things that you guys want this next semester? And so when it came to the faith piece and talking about Wednesday nights, one of the things they said is they want to learn more about other Christian traditions and other kind of Christian traditions. And so we're going to go to different Christian spaces and kind of learn from them, do different outings on Wednesday nights. We kind of want to do 3 or 4 different outings, going to perhaps like a black church space and learning from them, going to another kind of a Christian church space that has maybe a different lens or values on how they read Jesus, and to learn from them and their ministry. And so that's what we're going to be doing on Wednesday nights, on top of our theme that we'll be doing every week, which is Fruit of the Spirit. We'll be teaching that this semester to the youth, which will be fun, and coordinating all of that stuff together. We also want to embed a lot of our lessons with a heart for justice. And so all the Wednesday nights too, every other Wednesday night, the social justice team is also going to give a little kind of talk every Wednesday, and to kind of connect things with what they're learning spiritually that moves them to the heart of justice. And we want them too to get involved with the social justice team. Last semester, they did a lot of awesome stuff doing voter registration work and a lot of different work to get people involved and aware of what's going on politically here in Phoenix, Arizona. And so there is an election next year, and so they're going to be putting a lot of energy towards that. And so we want a lot of our students to be on fire and be aware of what's going on. And so we're hoping that their spiritual why can mix with the action that we want them to do when it comes to being involved civically in the city. And so that's a couple things that got going on at the youth center. We have summer camp, as always. We're planning for that early, which is the summer camp.
Kids club.
Kids club, we call it a day camp for the kids. The youth are kind of the volunteer staff for the kids. And
that's intense.
Yeah, it's an intense thing. Kind of start planning for and preparing for it.
I'm going to be supporting through prayers and good thoughts.
Erin did it last year, and it wore her out.
Made me sick, literally.
Yeah, it's a whole thing.
It's intense.
And so we're trying to prepare for that and get it right this upcoming year. And we'll start planning for that in January too. And so I feel like I'm missing something though that's coming up. We have a lot of things. We'll do different updates this next year too, 22, and give different giving updates and different updates of all that we got going on. But we got a lot of good stuff planned. There's different events and things, going to Six Flags with the youth, exposing them to different spaces and things that we're going to do that I'm excited about.
I love that, babe.
Yeah.
Also, so fundraising update for me.
Yeah, go for it.
So this year, my goal is to raise $60,000 for the next 3 years. So a total of $180,000. And so this year totaled, I believe, 72 or 73,000, which is awesome. And that includes one-time gifts and people that have just committed to give monthly for the next 3 years. And so I'm super grateful for that. I've never done any of this before. So this is it's a blessing. So awesome. It really is a blessing. And so with Chase being gone, so I think I mentioned this last time, Chase was he knew a lot of different people that had a lot of money. And so several of them would give major end-of-year offerings to Kaleo, or end-of-year gifts. And that's how we had a lot of our fundraising really for Kaleo. But now Chris and I, we have a new board, which is representative of women and people of color, which is what we hope that the church will be, which I firmly believe that your board should reflect what you want your organization to reflect. So if you say you want to be multi-ethnic and multicultural, then you have to be that at the core. And it took us a lot of work to get there, but I'm really happy with where we're at and where we're going. So having a new board has been really helpful. Also, this one of the focuses that our board also wants to help us with is having specific focuses of what we need fundraising for. So because one thing that Chase was responsible for also was the money and administrative benefits, staffing, how all of that stuff works, minutes, board meetings, all that stuff. Chris and I are having to take on a lot more of that. And so Chris is personally trying to be more responsible in learning all of it, especially because he's been around longer. And then he's been really good about informing me and keeping me up to date. And also I'm kind of learning it as he's learning it, but he's always just a step or two ahead of me. But with that, one thing we want to do is, as we get more specific about our budget for 2022, and we know, okay, in order to exist as Kaleo for a year, when it comes to Kaleo kids, we need this much. Right. When it comes to being pastors, we need this much. When it comes to Sunday night meals, we need this much. Yeah. And then being able to go to some of our relationships and saying, hey, would you help us with this specific need that we have for Kaleo versus would you just give to Kaleo because this is our big number? Yeah. It's like we can get more specific with the needs, and I think that people will enjoy that more. And it enables us to have a more clear ask as Chris and I are taking over fundraising, and then fundraising together versus you fundraise for yourself, I'll fundraise for myself, and then we'll share fundraising.
More of a team
effort, it's more of a team co-fundraising effort. And I think with my marketing skills and making things look good and putting presentations together and then even like presenting something, I think both of us will do a really fantastic job with that. So yeah, I'm excited about that. And if you guys have ideas for us as we're doing that, or people that you think we should talk to, or things that you think we should use, or software or whatever, let us know. That would be a huge blessing. So a couple other things I look forward to us doing. We really have this big goal to make Patreon a thing for us next year. The reason for that is because although we love that we have fundraising, because fundraising is a hard thing and it is a great thing, and we're thankful for all of you that have helped us fundraise. But when you fundraise for neighborhood ministries, if you ever leave neighborhood ministries, you're going to have to fundraise all over again. Or even me, I fundraise for Kaleo. But if I ever leave Kaleo, I'm going to have to fundraise all over again. Which there's nothing wrong with that. Neither of us are planning to leave our space. We just got here. We're not planning on leaving anytime soon. But we see the long-term benefit of having fundraising that's connected to us as people. And then whatever thing we're doing, the fundraising follows us in whatever work that is. So with Kendall and I's heart to eventually do some type of CCDA that's birthed out of neighborhood in Kaleo, or church plant CCDA, Christian Community Development Association of some sort. Instead of us having to re-fundraise for that, what would it look like for us to have fundraising that's already connected to us that helps support that effort? So one of the things we want to do, we need to come up with a nonprofit, a 501c3. We have Millennials in Ministry LLC, which is a for-profit because it was originally for my podcasting. But I think we need something that's maybe like Dooley Loved Ministries or something like that. That's just a 501c3. And then Patreon is connected to that. And then it feeds into fundraising that we can do for forever. And it's content such as Learn With Me Book Club, reading books together with our community, our online community, and doing Dooley Loved podcasts with us, doing podcasts with my family, with my mom and sister, Lashley Ladies, and Interracial Chronicles, and things like that. A lot of fun things in store. Yeah, so I'm excited about that too.
A lot of good things.
So yeah, lots of things to come. I'm excited just to see. I think it would be really cool to have our goals to get 300 patrons. By the end of next year, this time next year, having 300 patrons, I think we could do it. I think it's super doable. Between the two of us. And then we're also sharing this Patreon with some of our family members that want to do Patreon too, because it makes more sense to do it collectively together instead of separate. And so that's something we want to test out this year too. So I'm pretty thrilled. We have all the equipment. We know what we're doing. And so we just need to go do it. So thank you guys for being just a part of what we're doing, a part of the community,
part of the journey, both of us.
Yeah, it means a lot.
For 2021, it's been amazing.
Yeah, and we couldn't be happier. We couldn't be more excited. This year has been crazy, and I expect next year will probably be crazy too. But we know that God is with us, and that we're with each other, and that you guys are with us, and we're with you. And we're not alone.
As always, reach out to us if you guys ever need anything.
Love you guys. You want to send them out on a rap, babe? Freestyle.
I don't got anything. What do you got? What is this? A little beat? Okay. Yep. All right. Yep. You gonna rap with me? Yep.
You spit it first. You spit it first.
but I'm not a rapper. Sitting with my life, with my wife, thinking about my life, saying thank you to the people who give, who share, who love.
Oh.
Yup. See, we just got married.
Yeah?
We just got married.
Okay.
October 9th. Did Christmas together. Did New Year's together. Got a whole life we gonna do together. Yup. And I'm excited.
Good job, babe.
About it.
Whoa.
What you got?
Hey. Oh.
Get it.
What?
Yep.
Oh. It's duly loved. Duly loved. Duly loved.
Yup.
Duly loved. We are duly loved.
Yup.
Duly loved.
Yup.
Duly loved.
You are.
Duly loved. And we out. That's all I had was duly loved. All right,
good,
guys.
dude.
We love you. Peace.
Thanks, y'all.